7 o'clock, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Before we adopt the agenda, I think the CEO has an item to adjust. I know at the meeting of council we don't usually add anything, but this is because of time factor. We'd like to add this item. Maybe we can talk about it. This would be in 12.5 bylaw number 9, peace, order, mischief and nuisances. I'd like to add this to the agenda. Now, if you agree that we need a motion to adopt the agenda proposed by Danny, seconded by Rochelle. All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Against, motion carried. Are there items in the agenda that presents any conflict of interest? If no, we go to presentations 3.1. to number 4, adoption of minutes from meetings. The one of May 18, 2016, regular council meeting. Are there errors or omissions? All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Against, motion carried. Then the minutes of June 8, 2016, council and committee meeting. Are there errors or omissions? Can somebody propose the adoption? Proposed by Neil, seconded by Roussel. All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Against, motion carried. Business arising from previous council meetings. 5.1, dangerous and unsightly premises. This is a follow-up on 2 cases that were discussed in meetings. The one was the Irving in Metegan. Just to let you know that the work on the site has been completed, and Irving have created a slope to make the site, to ensure that the site will not create a dangerous place for the community. Arnold went there and he said this site is not, he considers the site very secure, and according to him it does not meet the definition of unsightly. Therefore the dossier is closed, and from what I understand, the rocks that are there are to be remained there. This is more a discussion between Irving and the province. The municipality does not necessarily have a role to play in the placement of these rocks. The second case is a building in Bellevos Cove that Conseiller Dousa mentioned to us. Again, Arnold made an inspection of the building. It's an old building, and according to him, his recommendation was that the building be demolished. On June 15th, we wrote a letter to the persons involved, the owners who live in Virginia. First of all, to advise them of the state of the building, and also that they have 30 days to organize demolition. If not, the municipality will demolish it, because the building is close to the road and the chimney is leaning, and as such the building is not secure. So this is just to advise you. In the case of the Irving building, if council agrees, I think we should thank the company of Irving to have reacted so quickly to our request. All those if you agree, we will do this. This is okay for 5.1. 5.2, the Municipal Government Act review. Again, this is to make a point on the 7th amendments that we circulated at the last meetings. We just wanted to know if you have any comments or concerns or questions that you would like to discuss or be addressed. You can send them to me, and I will get in contact with the province to communicate these. Same amendments came to our Director of Finance and the Community Development Officer. One of the community said that they are evaluating and reading the same amendments, and they offered their comments, and the last 7 amendments that were sent to you, there were no further comments that were added to these.
If there's no questions and comments, we move on to 6, Warden's Activity Report. On the 1st of June, I was participating in the meeting of the Auditing Committee of the CDNE. On the 6th, it was the conference of the municipalities in Winnipeg, as mentioned. There were a number of rural themes dealt with. I was surprised by the amount of activity by small rural communities. There was a session on municipal broadband budget 2016 investment in rural Canada, and there was a rural town hall, and in the three cases it was just rural broadband. And when Easter, the 500 million is just a beginning, but it's just a beginning to look for solutions right up to the last mile. The directors of Nova Scotia are Cecil Clark, who is President, Russell Walker, Tom Tager of Colchester for the municipalities, and Mayor Dave Corkum for Kentville. In broad lines, it was a very successful meeting with a lot of emphasis on the rural. What was interesting, in the past, you wouldn't see a member of parliament, but at these sessions there were members of parliament, liberal ones, sitting in with us. You could talk to them. In those discussions, it was just one item that was mentioned. One of the members for rural broadband was in the budget until the time that MPs from rurals said it was a priority. We're preparing a PowerPoint. You may have received it in your email from the FCM, but it will be circulated, and we'll go over the points I just mentioned. Point 7 was the meeting of the Board of Governors of the CDNE in Halifax. On the 13th was the annual meeting of the Forest Glen Community Centre, and there was another council, John Cunningham from Yarmouth and Isaac Churchill. I gave some information for the next council and committee meeting. They have been bringing in some improvements. It's situated right on the frontier, so maybe Danny can talk with the residents. This will be for our next meeting. On the 14th was a supper at the Cuisine Robichaud with the Mayor of Lafayette, Joël Robideau. There was myself, Stéphane, Deputy Warden Brian Charles Godet, and Daniel Godet of the festival. Lafayette is one of the 3 founding cities of the network of Francophone cities. So this was a good meeting. Saying that, I'm not sure if you remember, but the network is divided into zones, and we're the Acadie zone, and we will be presided by the new mayor of Moncton, Madame Arnold, and Roger Doiron from Richibouctou was also there. So we'll have to have a meeting to set up committees for meetings by teleconference. If you're interested in participating, you can let me know. There will be a working committee on genealogy, and we will try to put the university on that committee because they have the Acadian Centre. So I'll keep you up to date on that. I gave a speech at the seniors banquet at the Centre for Veterans, and the 17th was the directors of Meadows. I'll talk to you about this a bit. The bylaw says that it should be elected people on the committee, but this is going to be a change to be a SCIS biz board. I'll stay for a while because 3 of the councillors are leaving, but it will be people from the public. So there'll be no more representatives from the municipality. On the 17th of June, it was the CGA people. You might look at what there is on the university campus, and today there was a round table with Nova Scotia Power in Yarmouth with the wardens, and there was supper with the Chamber of Commerce. They have a program called Home Warming. Essentially, it's low-income people. There's no matching money. There's no borrowed money. If you qualify, you can receive $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000, depending. And we had a discussion today because some municipalities like ours, we have a low income grants on tax. They would try to make a partnership with us, so when those persons are approved by us, they would approved automatically by them, and they could fill out the 2 forms at the same time, and someone from Nova Scotia Power would be there. Even if something happens, there's no criterion except that you make less than a certain amount and that you own your house. So if you're in agreement, well, I think we could tell the staff to go ahead with this. So, this is the information for Stéphane. That's my report. Was a bit long. Are there any questions, Brian? What kind of work would they do in the houses? Insulation? The way they explained it, it's rather open. They could put in a heat pump, a window. They would even look at how you can save most energy. For example, if you're someone who likes to sit at the window all day and there's a draft there, they will meet the people and try to do something that improves their life and which saves money. That's how it was explained to me at noon. The low income are higher, so we should maybe do some advertising for that. They consider that a low income is at the same level as we do. No. I have the amount here on the little pamphlet. It's a person 20,952, 2 to 4 persons 38,921, 5 persons or more 55,444. So we could perhaps consider changing our program as well. The two should be aligned some way or another. If we can have some way of knowing how many people would apply in order to understand what our costs we could be, this might be a reasonable manner to proceed.
Are there any other questions? If not, we go to official presentations from members of council. Brian. Phil Como from Sonyville, Roselyne Leblanc of Little Brook, and Edouard Leblanc from Sonyville have been chosen as have received the Order of the Pleiades. They were put in order for their leadership, extraordinary leadership in the work they have done during their life, to accomplish during all their life, and their contribution in education, culture, and education, health, and the promotion of our French language. So I would like to our council to send these people a letter of congratulations to each of these persons. Do you agree with this? Are there any other presentations? If you allow me, I would like to suggest that we send a letter to Michel Como who's been named the Director General of the CSAP. I think it's important for our community that is a person from here who has been, if you agree, that we send him a letter also, Director of the CSAP. Number 8, correspondence. 8.1, National Health Day. Deputy Colin Fraser. I will read this letter, Mr. I would like to order Council to adopt a National Day of the Physical Condition. This is for all Canadians. You will find a project for resolution that the Council could use to order this day and to encourage people to work, to be active physically. This, we would like you to proclaim this as the first day of June to make people aware of the importance of physical activities. Other ones have put in value the infrastructure for sports and physical activities in the community. The region would like to augment the number of people who are using this infrastructure and adopt more. If you adopt the day of this, if you accept this, please send us a meeting. You can send us your resolution, and you can also contact my office. You can also contact my office for more information. I'd like to thank you, Council, for promoting this new day, and also continue to encourage people to sincerely yours, Mr. Warden. Thank you from Colin Fraser, Deputy. Emily. Do we need if Council wants to make a resolution that he gave us, or just make a motion to declare this day as an official health, I can read the resolution if you want. If you want to make a motion, we all received the resolution. There are times when we read the resolution, I can do that, but we can also make a motion to adopt this resolution. So it's proposed by Robert, seconded by Brian. Is there any discussion on this motion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying yes. Against, motion carried, passed. 8.2, there's a thank you card from Muriel Como. Thank you very much for what you have done, for the work that has been done on our historical site in Pointe-à-Marfort. Thank you particularly for Neil Doucet, who has overseen the work that was done there, and I would like you to thank you for everything that has been done, and this site will be used especially next year for the 150th anniversary of Canada. We encourage you to visit this site, signed by Muriel Como Perroquin. Saying this, I spoke to somebody at the school, and they helped us to choose school to make these so this is like a place to put the garbage. This is a letter that was addressed to businesses, but we received also from the municipalities. This letter, we'd like to invite you to participate our annual drive that allows us to get some money on June 22nd. We'd like to make buy some Chromebooks, which are kind of small mini computers. On the 22nd of June, we asked the families of our students to work to be there for our Olympic Day. These two activities are fundraising, and we would like we invite you businesses to make a contribute for our fundraising. In the name of all the students at the College of Family Day, we thank you for your consideration. Thank you. Signed Tina Blin on this point. I think we discussed, Stefan and I were discussing this. We don't have a policy regarding fundraising for the schools, and it's not that I'm not saying that we should not give some, but when it comes to recreation and activities or sport activities, we don't have a policy how much money could be given or should not be given. I don't know if it's something that council would just like to give money, or if they should look at the policy. I think it's a good point. We received a request from schools, maybe for breakfasts, and we could then were able to give equally to all schools. In this case, it becomes a bit more difficult when we contribute to fundraising as a municipality. It is money that comes from tax, yes, but we can't answer to all these requests when the schools are already financed by people's tax money. If we have to give some more money of our tax to schools, when we can't do this equally among all the schools, it becomes like a problem. So maybe we should not answer this request. In the past, it was not a written policy, but the point you have made, we did not give money to fundraising by the schools because of this. Because of your reasoning, because the property tax already goes to the operation of schools. So I think we should let this one pass. There's nothing that as councillors we can participate in those activities, and it's our personal decision, but not use the tax money for these. Point for request letter regarding the monument. This is from the Société Acadienne de Clare. The committee has been working for a number of years for the construction and the installation of the monument for people lost at sea. As we have already mentioned to you, the committee cannot take the responsibility of this monument after it has been put up. The committee met last night on June 2nd, and they asked for the Société Acadienne de Clare to ask you this. The ad hoc committee asked the council to accept take possession of this monument to see at the long-term maintenance of and also at the liability insurance once the monument has been put up in the municipality at Smuggler's Cove. From the time that we installed this monument, we asked the municipality to take the responsibility after the unveiling of the monument. We asked the municipality to accept to do the maintenance of this monument, and as soon as municipal council gives us an affirmative answer, the ad hoc committee will put the sculpture of the fisherman where it will be. We include the photo of the sculpture. The ad hoc committee likes what you have done up to now.
Are there any comments? There are a number of questions that arise here. One of them is we have a small piece of land attached to Smuggler's Cove, but we have no access to that land, which creates difficulty because the access is through the public and it's not open to the public all year. It's the Victoria Day weekend. On the website on the 15th or the 21st of May to the 15th of October. This is a concern of several people. If you have a member of the family who was lost at sea, say on the 15th of November, you can't go to visit the monument on that date. There are seniors, and when there's 6 inches of snow, who's going to work in the park? It creates another problem because they have to go on the land of the province, and if they hurt themselves going to the monument, the municipality, will it be responsible? We can't have parking or a driveway. There is a good chance that many people will park down below. If we put the monument there, are we not opening up a possibility of liability for the municipality because we put the monument in a place where there's no access 6 months a year? That's one of my concerns. Essentially, the question is, the committee can choose where they want to put the monument, but the question is the municipality going to take the responsibility and the liability for it? The way I see this question being formulated, it changes the way to approach it. Up to now, it was the project of a group of the municipality, which the municipality supported financially to build the monument. Now, those who are in charge of constructing the monument want to give it to the municipality, but then it would be the responsibility of the municipality to take care of it forever. For me, this changes the question. It doesn't mean that I will cease to support the project, but I may be more interested in where it will be located. The committee wants to wash its hands of the project the moment that the monument is constructed. The maintenance and insurance becomes the responsibility of the municipality. So I think we should ask the deputy warden to consider whether this site is appropriate for the monument. As a point of information, I spoke with Harry Spencer of McDonald Chisholm Trask, who takes care of our insurance, and I was talking about Smuggler's Cove. I have no definite response, but in his opinion, first off, it's problematical for those reasons, because it's not a municipal site, and people wouldn't have access to the site during the months when the park is closed. Is somebody helping someone on the site? Who would be responsible? Is it the municipality? Is it the province? He seemed to think that we could defend our case in court, but he still seemed to see there was a problem there. I would suggest that we discuss this matter in committee to have more time to consider it. At the present time, the municipality is considering investments in in the fort of Cap Sainte-Marie and in Belleville Cove. One of those sites might be appropriate for a monument. like that one, and perhaps there could be a third site. We should perhaps study this question. It would be more reasonable if we accept the monument. It's natural to take care of the maintenance and insurance, but that site is maybe not the best place. So we will refer this to the council and committee, if you're in agreement. 8.5, the letter from Paul-Émile Leblanc. It's email in English. This is a reference to the Maxwellton Road and the Chemin des Bleus. Follow up to that email. I talked with Richard Nickerson, who is the bylaw enforcement officer for WasteJet, and signage will be placed in those locations. At present, there is no signage. We hope that the signs that WasteCheck will put up will solve the problem, but if not, we will continue to survey the situation. Concerning the old dump, the council has already had notices on this subject, and we are not really able to address that problem. A report on by the Service Information Service.
Since it's a service that's very valuable for our residents, do we have some business cards this size? Maybe we could contact the Director of Communications, Susie, to ask her to give give a package of these business cards that would be available here at the office. I have one at the office, and I give some to people who come to my office. Are there any other questions or comments? 8.7 letter from the newly appointed ombudsman. Are there any questions, comments? 8.8, a thank you letter from John Davis, COAC. Are there any questions? 8.9, senior safety programs in Southwest Nova Scotia. Are there any questions? The last item, other correspondence, is a resolution for Canada Post. resend the resolution that you have in your package. Essentially says, I will not read all the whereas, but so it is essentially the resolution that they want us to adopt. I don't know if you want to make a motion to adopt this resolution or not. Saying this, I have done a bit of research, and the first part of the review, we received a letter on June 19th, and the input of the municipalities, the last day of the input of the municipalities is tomorrow, but there will be another consultation later on. I have a bit of problems to support the position of the unions. They have a point of view, and that they're organized to have a point of view, but our point of view to represent our citizens, I think we must do it at the UNSM and other agencies. So I think rather than do municipalities to this committee, it would be quite expensive, so we have to work with the UNSM and CSM to resolve this. Saying this, I did a bit of research. I see there's 3 different unions for the postal service just in Clare. So this is just one of those 3. I think the union represent the workers. Is there anybody who would like to make a comment on this?
So does someone have a comment or wants to be in agreement with that? I just discovered this week that we had 3 different unions. The resolution says that Canada Post is important in our community. If we see there are problems, but there are resolutions through the FCM and NSFM. We have already passed resolutions that the Canada Post is important in our communities. Is everyone in agreement with that? We go on to the report of the Director General. Thank you, Mr. Warden. My report will be very short because many of the files I'm dealing with will be dealt with later in the agenda. With regard to the renovations to the washroom in the Veterans Center, we're waiting on news for that. For the Grand Fondo, on the 21st of June, there were 354 registrants. The limit is the 31st of July. That's the deadline. Many people registered just before the deadline in order to have a jersey. Concerning the fundraising, we are hoping to raise $10,000 from the private sector. So far we have $2,300, and about $5,000 in kind have been contributed. Concerning the recycling plant, the equipment we had in the building has been removed. We are negotiating with a potential renter. We have pushed the date of occupation back a couple of months. The reason for that is that someone who is there on short term, and we judged it appropriate that not to have 2 companies in the same building, and this raised problems of legal responsibility, and everyone was in agreement with that. Concerning the community cleanup problem, 2 organizations have been collecting garbage. The parish of Concession have spent $900, and the Knights of Columbus have also done 6 kilometers. We gave an amount of $150 to Denise Stewart and to Donna Mullet and their family, who did a section of the beach. Donna Maya Mullen cleaned up the beach at Salmon River. They didn't ask us for a financial contribution, but when we saw the quantity of waste that they had collected, we thought that that would be appropriate, and the 2 persons in question were very pleased with the contribution. So there's been about 14 kilometers that were cleaned for $2,500 at $150 per kilometer. And other organizations are expressing interest in the program. Elections 2016, we are working on the voters list. The voters will be advised through local media concerning when they can confirm that they are on the voters list. The limit for the deadline for submitting candidatures is the 13th of September, and the 20th of October is the date for the election, and advance polls begin on the 7th of October. If you want to vote by computer or by telephone, this will be available on the same dates, on the 7th of October and the 13th. No, it was the 20th. If you want to vote by paper ballots, this is possible. This is available on election day. The Communications Committee has a new website. We have almost finished, and it will be launched next week. There will still be content to add over the next few weeks, but we hope being able to make the launch and to begin using the site. Concerning the FCM, as the warden mentioned, it was a very good conference with a big emphasis on rural matters and the implication of the federal government and the other political parties concerning the financing of different programs, especially in infrastructure. There's the New Building Canada Fund, which is $14 million, with a portion which goes to the Small Communities Fund for small communities under 100,000 population, which is our case. There are also funds for green infrastructure, $20 million, $2 million for the Clean Water and Wastewater Fund. I'll be talking about that a bit later this evening. There was also the social infrastructure, which has to do with affordable housing for seniors and vulnerable population, there were points on accessibility, etc. So there was a big emphasis on infrastructure, and as will be explained a bit later, they are interested in receiving applications, and there's not much time to submit them. The turnaround is pretty quick. I attended a number of meetings. The Wren Auditing Committee on the 18th of May, 27th of May, another meeting. Property Evaluation Services. I met Mr. Walker, who is the Assistant Manager for the region, Sherry Spencer Donald Sprass, and I, as the warden mentioned, we met the Mayor of Lafayette, and there's the spring conference for the Association of Municipal Administrators. There's a meeting tomorrow for the Southwestern Shore Community Meeting in Digby, and there's the EMO committee on the 30th of June coming up. There's an evaluation coming up by the province to evaluate all the municipalities for their emergency management organizations in order to see whether they are prepared to react, to respond in an emergency. This meeting is to prepare for this evaluation, and that is my report. On the regional meeting that will be in Digby at 11 o'clock, I will be there. Do you have any questions for Stéphane? Thank you. Number 10, committee reports. 10.1, Danny. As of April 2015, there was one permit per $1 million of construction. In 2016, there was one for $2.6 million of construction. That was for April and May. In May, there were 7 permits for $1.499 million of construction. In May 2016, there were 2 permits for $438,000 of construction. In the year to date, in 2015, we had 4 million, and in 4.1 million in 2016. So we're up a little bit. Are there questions? Planning Advisory Committee, Danny, in English.
Are there any questions? If not, we go to the Police Advisory Committee. Neil, the committee, we met on June 13th here at the municipality. There was myself and Hector Thibault are part of this committee. We meet 4 times a year. The things we discussed were the Sergeant Holmes had a discussion, announced that in Metighan the staff is full. There are 7 RCMP members that are working from there. We also had a constable, José Lagacé, that came from Manitoba, originally from Campbellton, New Brunswick, and she lives in one of the Metighan houses. I'm translating from English. The priorities that we are looking at for this year, 2016-17, is to reinforce alcohol, driving under the influence of alcohol, and also the off-highway vehicles, the 4-wheelers, the speeding. We're trying to diminish the amount of people speeding. And the other thing, we spoke about Hélène Como, who is in charge of seniors security. She's still doing really good work. She advises a lot of telephone scams that are going on, though she's showing seniors how to bypass these scams. There have been quite a few crimes, break and enters. One of the statistics in 2013-14 there were 13, in 14-15 there were 11, but in 15-16 there was 39 break-and-enters, and a lot of these were perpetrated by the same person that was Mr. Dempster that was apprehended last year, and we hope that these will stop in Clare this year. These are the main things that we discussed on our committee. Are there any questions? If not, we go 10.4. Do you have for the Villa Acadienne waste check? I know you meet a bit every month. So we go to new business. 11.3, motion to reduce tax account. This is just to give you the context. A person who lives in Mavillette on Boudreau Road, her house burned in 2015 and it was a total loss. They have rebuilding, but she only built again in July, so from February to July there was nothing on her site. Therefore, but the tax bill for 2015 had been taxed as if there was a building for the whole year. So he started building in July 2015 and went into his house in 2015 and see if we could do anything regarding his tax bill for 2014, 15, 16. We looked at this case and we recommend that we adjust his tax, the portion of the house, and that we prorate, that we take the total amount, but we prorate on only the months that there was construction on the site. So this represents a reduction of $600.58. So the amount for the sewer system and the land, the tax would stay the same. So we're liking your motion just to adjust his the tax part that applies to the house. Discussion on this motion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying yes. Against, motion carried. 11.2, motion to name a new subdivision. Gary Sullivan and Arnold have worked with Gary Beliveau's construction business, who has built a new subdivision in Corbury. They approached us to name the subdivision as Wentworth Drive, Promenade Wentworth. Everything has been done according to our policies here. So what we look for tonight is a motion by council to approve the name. I move that the new subdivision built by Gary Beliveau Construction Excavation in Corbury be officially named Wentworth Drive, Promenade Wentworth Drive. Seconded by Russell. Is there any discussion on this motion? All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Against, motion carried. 11.3, motion to award a garbage collection tender for 2016 and to 2021. This is a subject for the dialogue we had at the last meeting to continue the discussion. Post our evaluation of the 4 submissions we received, the recommendation was to give the contract to Wisco from Yarmouth Limited for an amount of $449,318. So we'd like tonight is a motion by council to accept, to officially give them the contract. Is there somebody who wants to make the motion? Somebody would second this? Seconded by Richelle. Is there discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying yes. Contrary, no. Motion carried. 11.4, motion to extend tax rebate exemption. Again, it's a follow-up on the discussion we had at our last meeting regarding the amount of $300 that we give to households that have low income. Additionally, we had put a limit, expiry date to apply for this rebate, but after our last meeting we think that it was good to review that the fact that we might possibly get rid of the expiry date and continue to accept the request from these people on as we receive them by the municipalities. So this is just a motion to formalize this decision, to give a direction to the staff here at the meeting. The objective of this, the grants, is to help the people who need it the most. It's not to put a expiry date. So if council can help, that's the objective of this policy. I move that the Council of the Municipality of the District of Clare approve the deadline for property tax rebates for low-income households be disregarded and that applications continue to be accepted by the municipality as received. Seconded by Danny. Is there any discussion?
All in favor say aye. 11.5, motion to approve project funding for FRAP. We had a presentation before the council and committee at the last meeting. I know that our motion was prepared. It seems to me that the motion to recommend this to the comment n'était pas necessarily to grant the amount, but made to put it into the budget. But in reading the motion, I'm not sure if you've looked at the motion, it would just grant the money automatically. So I am not sure whether you want to change the motion. If the council is in agreement, I will propose a variation. I propose that the municipality reserve $25,000 from the 2017-2018 budget for potential support to FRAP's proposed Canada 150 project, seconded by Hector. I think that's the intention of the council. I wanted to make sure, because if we grant the money, it could go for anything. Inaudible? Yes. That protects us even more. So Hector seconded the motion. Is there any other discussion? Just one point of clarification for people involved in the project. The intention of the council is to support their project, but we are not certain that all of the elements of the project will be approved, but we are reserving $25,000 for that purpose, and we will consider the project when it's presented in detail. It was important to clarify that in order to be sure that there will be no misunderstanding. So all in favor say aye, contrary minded nay. Carried. 11.6, Belleville Motors golf tournament. Each year, Belleville Motors has fundraising for the medical center. This is the only golf tournament that the municipality pays for. Essentially, it's a fundraising event. So we need 5 members of the council who would be interested in participating. I'm not sure what the date is. 29th of July. Robert. I'm already on another team, but if there are 5 councillors who would be interested, if not, we could have members of the staff who could volunteer. If we can't find 5 councillors or employees. 11.7, call for applications for water, and this is a point on infrastructure. It's a $2 million project and concerns sewers and water supply. The program was launched on the 10th of June, and the final date is the 22nd of June at 27th at midnight. The form to fill out is fairly long, but it's an interesting program in that the projects we decide to submit, the federal will contribute 50% and the province 25%, and the final 25% would be from the municipality. So in essence, we are using 25-cent dollars. One of the criteria for the program is that we need a motion by the council which enumerate the priorities in terms of water supply for the municipality. We cannot perhaps address all of them, but we need a motion that the council has identified this priority. So you have before you a motion in consultation with Jody, who's what's a priority according to him is the updating of sewage treatment plants at the university. This is something that we are obliged to do under the new provincial regulations. This is something that has to be in place by the end of 2017. This is a priority project, and we know we're obliged to do this. The second would be the electric panels at the pumping centers. The 3 of them are 20 years old, but their replacement is just a matter of time. The third priority is to install a cover over the clarifier at the water treatment plant in Meteghan, the sewage treatment plant. There's one in Church Point. This is something we think would be important in Meteghan as well. So these are the 3 projects which are priorities according to us. According to the criteria of the program, we can submit 1 or 2 or even 3 projects at our discretion. We can pair them up or just submit 1. So this depends then on what the council judges to be a priority. Concerning the prices, the timeline we were given is very short. We are trying to do the research. It's not necessarily very complicated. For the first one, it's about $100,000. For number 2, the electrical panels. We're not talking about all the pumps and everything, just the panels. For purchase and installation, it's about $60,000 per panel. And the third priority would be the cover unit for the clarifier. We are looking for prices on that one. The one at Church Point, we're trying to find out who made it and to see whether this is something that can still be purchased and whether this is something we could make ourselves. But these are the 3 priorities for that area. In order to go ahead with our application, it's through the province. We need a motion from the council which confirms these priorities. I don't know if I'm correct in this. There's the deadline of the 27th. That's phase 1 of infrastructure programs. Those are for improvements. It used to be that infrastructure projects had to be new projects, but for this one you can apply for maintenance. You can bring your already existing infrastructures up to an acceptable level. So saying that, I think this is an opportunity for us to get our infrastructures in better order with 25-cent dollars.
I'm 100% agree with this. If we could do it, and maybe for the third one, we can let the third one drop because it's a new project. And the second, if I can clarify, for the second one is that the panels are being used now, but talking to Judy, since they're 40 years old, maybe next year or in 2 years from now, we will have to look at these because they're dated. So we put them there so that council will know that these panels will have to be looked at. This could be a project from 500,000. If the first one is 100,000, for the panels 60,000 per panel. We're confident this is it. 180,000 and maybe 100 or 120,000 for the upgrade at Church Point. It's where our contribution would be about 75,000 on this amount. If the project is approved. If we don't do it now, we'll have to do it later and it will cost 300,000. There's not much time to decide. The staff is already working on the request. Jody is talking to certain people who could do the work, and we're a few of us therefore working on the request, that the presentation that will be done, because the time is very short. From what I understand, I feel there's a consensus with the 2 first ones. So if somebody wants to make a motion for number 1 and 2, we can make a motion for the 3, and if money is there, okay, it's something that we can do. If you want to go with the third one, or even we can do the motion as it's written and maybe just carry over the first 2 projects. But if we keep the third one, then it sort of opens the door if we want to do it later on. I move that the municipality of the district of Clare identify the following wastewater infrastructure project as priority projects to be completed prior to the end of the 2017-18 fiscal year, subject to available funds, and that the projects be prioritized in the following order. Number 1, upgrade dewatering plant system at Church Point location with the installation of a UV unit and building to house such unit. Number 2, upgrade the electrical panels in 3 lift stations in the Metegan area in order of priority. Station at 101 exit, station at Metegan Wharf, station at Smuggler's Cove. And number 3, install a cover unit over the clarifier at the Metegan treatment plant. Does somebody accept this? Seconded by Richelle. Is there any discussion on this motion? Motion carried. 11.8, motion to enter the e-voting contract for e-voting services for 2016 municipal election at the last meeting of council. The Director of Community Development gave us she gave us an idea of the contract that was presented for e-voting. We evaluated the contract, and the prices that they offered this year is cheaper than what they had offered at the last meeting. We received the contract from Sitel, and we propose this evening to accept the contract as was presented to us, and we are looking for a motion from council for e-voting for upcoming municipal elections. Lester, I move that the municipality of the District of Clare accept the submission from Sitel Canada Inc. to provide e-voting services for the 2016 municipal and school board election for the municipality of the District of Clare at a cost of $2.30 per voter letter. Is there any discussion on this motion? All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Motion carried. Before we go to closed session, I'd like to say good evening to all those who are listening on the upstream. We have 5 items on. There's a camera session, Clare Health Center, Major Point Road, 12.3, sludge dewatering plant. I walked on my glasses today, so. And sludge dewatering plant, 12.4 staff and 12.5 the bylaw number 9. So this is what discussed on closed session, so we need a motion to go into a closed session, and the motion is carried.